Wow, 2025 is almost over already, isn't it? It's New Year's Eve, and oh, right, sorry, the intro. Hello, my fellow nerds. It's Oracle Nerd Richie here, and welcome back to another video. I kind of wanted to actually take this video to talk about a lot of things. First of all, this year has actually been one of my best years for my channel, to be honest. I actually did really feel like the year of the nerds, in all honesty. I mean, my channel has had its fair share of funny moments, scary ones, and heck, even ones that just felt real and comprehensive. And I know that the last two videos probably weren't all that great. I mean, the first one still hasn't gotten any views as far as I'm aware, but I kind of wanted to take this video this time to actually do something big for 2025. Now, some of you are probably expecting me to do like a best of Oracle and Richie 2025, but well, kind of an issue there. I actually posted this on my community tab that I wanted people to join my Discord and submit their clips for what they think are the best moments of my channel. And I got literally no one. No one actually submitted anything, which kind of, yeah, kind of upset me a bit. But I wasn't gonna take that too personally, like everyone's busy with their own daily lives and probably like work and all that. I understand. So, and since I'm a very understanding YouTuber, I decided to actually just do a different form of content. And I actually got up this morning and actually woke up and watched a video talking about how a specific app called Amino apps shut down. Now, if you guys don't know what Amino apps is, it's basically a community app that, well, they think about going to like a convention, but without having to pay for a ticket. The Amino apps is basically that. And when you have Amino apps, there are actually tons of different communities that you can go to. There's a community for basically everything, even a niche community like I don't know, Code Lyoko, or even a major one like Super Smash Brothers. It's got a community for basically everything. Hell, they even had one for WWE. But as I've recently heard, Amino Apps has officially shut down, which means I have no access to all the posts that I made on that app all those years ago. And let's be honest, I wasn't really using the app much anyways anymore, so I kind of moved everything to Discord and wanted to move all my stuff to YouTube as well. But I actually was thinking back on it though. One of the Amino communities I was really big on was the Smash Brothers community, and why I was a big deal on that one was because I actually was one of those people that made what if Smash Brothers move sets. Now, you guys probably know other Smash Bros. What if moveset YouTubers. People like Brawl Fan 1, and you probably know him for his moveset series that he's done for both Smash Brothers and Pokemon Unite for some reason. I don't know, I kind of liked both of his series, and I thought they were really amazing. And the thing is, actually, it's kind of weird because years before I found out that his channel was a thing, I actually did my own What If Smash Bros. Movesets on the Smash Bros. Amino. Like I probably said already, I don't know. I'm not very good with my memory, but I thought it'd be really fun to look back on my old Smash Bros. Movesets and look at the roster that I have going right now. So, just to show it off to you guys for a bit, this is the current Smash Bros. Roster that I have made when I was doing that series over on Amino. And, well, actually, this is what it used to look like. Hold up, let me get an updated version. There we go. That's a little bit better. So you probably noticed that quite a lot of these are actually drawn in a different art style, and that's because I'm actually going over each character of the roster and trying to draw them in my own art style while also making new different palettes for them. And it's coming out good so far. Most of these are still official renders and images rather than my actual art style. But I thought it'd be fun to getting to the main point of this video, to look back at all my movesets and explain why I chose each of these characters for the roster. It's gonna be a long video this time, and I kind of want to do something special for the last video of the year. And since I couldn't do a best of 2025, I think this is probably the next best thing. So, without further ado, here is an explanation of every character that I picked for my What If Smash Moveset series, going from the first row to the bottom one, which only has 3 characters on the bottom one, but all of them are but the bottom one's basically the same reason for all 3. So, but I'll get to that when I get to that. So, how about we start off this roster by looking at by looking at the first character that I've done, Shovel Knight. Okay, so first we have Shovel Knight. And honestly, I think the reason why I picked this one back then was like super obvious. It was one of the most popular picks for for a new character to come in during Smash Bros. 4. Yes, Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS, the ones that no one really talks about because they were pretty bad. Let's let's just be real here. Smash 4 was okay, but like it wasn't really that great. It just felt like Brawl but with a new cell shading, and that's about it. Ultimate really got everything right, but the one thing that Ultimate did not do was make Shovel Knight a playable character, and instead relegated him to being an assist trophy. Well, I don't really mind characters making appearances as assist trophies that they couldn't make the roster. That a kind of it's kind of odd in a sense. I mean, then again, this is the same game where you can play as Robin and Chrom. We can play as Chrom, and then Robin can still hit Chrom with his final smash by summoning Chrom. So I don't know. Smash Bros. Kind of just hurts my brain a bit. But when it comes to just finding out new characters, I thought Shovel Knight would be a relatively obvious pick. He was extremely popular during the time, and he was basically the one character everyone on the Smash Bros. Amino would not stop talking about. I swear to you, nobody would stop talking about this guy. He was like I was like one of the big people that people wanted to as an indie rep for Smash Brothers. And what do we get? A Shovel Knight trophy and then an assist trophy in the next game, and that's it. We don't really get much else, do we? I mean, well, nowhere else to go but up, right? So I made this moveset thinking it'd be, just a fun little experiment. And holy shit, people were actually liking it. There were actually a lot of people that really liked the moveset. And yeah, I had to give credit where credit was due because I used a couple of assets that weren't really my own ideas. But eventually, I actually did get around to designing my own version of what Shovel Knight's palettes could look like. What you're seeing on screen now was all the ideas that I had for Shovel Knight armor and or I guess alternate palettes. And honestly, I thought these came out pretty good to be honest. We of course have the default Shovel Knight with the next one being a silver one based on obviously it's based on some armor that he can get in game, but it also looks like regular old armor that any knight would wear. The silver coloring goes to the way. Probably the gold one, which is probably a reference to King Knight, and then we have this one on the bottom right here, which is the reference to Shield Knight. Now, making all these palettes wasn't really as easy as you'd think. I actually had to draw out the character, then add the color, then recolor each of the alts. And sure, that sounds easy on paper, but trust me, it's not. My God, it is not easy. So, and yes, I know I made his shovel blade a little bit smaller in this one, but let's be real, I kind of had to just make it fit on the screen somehow. So let's get into the whole moveset thing. The reason I kind of made his moveset exactly what you probably would have expected. His down air is the shovel pogo. His neutral special is the ground spark. His side special was the dust knuckle. At least I think it was. I don't know. It's been a long time, and I can't really go into the moveset and look at it now because Amino shut down recently. So you can consider all of the movesets that I made lost media in a sense. And it's lost media that could easily be accessed, but can't be accessed anymore because, the company that touched it was absolute crap. Let's just be real. Anyways, personal gripes aside, I actually really liked the moveset that I made for Shovel Knight, and looking back on it, it was actually really good. It was basically my breakout moveset that I had for the entire thing, and here I am now, talking about old movesets that I made for characters that I really, really liked and kind of wanted to see a moveset for. And honestly, looking back on it, it was my breakout moveset. And then again, it was the first episode of the series. I don't really know what I was thinking with it. I mean, I was initially also thinking of bringing that Smash moveset series to the channel, but I don't know. That would have taken a lot of editing, a lot of drawing, and oh my God, dude. I'm not Brawl fan 1 here. I can't really make I can make good movesets, but I can't really, draw the movesets themselves because I'm just gonna be real, my art isn't all that great, but it's okay art at the very least in my opinion. I'm not trying to be humble about it. I'm not trying to be self-absorbed either. I'm just saying what I honestly think. And to look back on it, Shovel Knight was probably one of my favorite characters to work on, especially since he was the first that I worked on at all. And I guess now if I look back at the moveset, I probably wouldn't change a thing about it. It was the first one. It was honestly perfection at its finest. Even though we all know that the idea of perfection is a concept that doesn't actually exist. Anyways, moving on to the next character. Aoife Lockhart. Okay, I know, this character was actually extremely obvious from the get-go, especially since you probably saw her initially on the roster. So you guys are probably wondering why I had obviously, why I had Tifa Lockhart chosen. Well, aside from her being one of my favorite Final Fantasy characters, aside from Sephiroth, I thought he was really awesome, and Aerith too, I suppose. And I guess number 13 was also cool, but I don't know. I guess Tifa Lockhart was also one of the other big characters that people wanted to request for Smash, and honestly, they were right to do so. There are far too many female fighters that are not brawlers, and at the time of making her moveset, we only had like 38 female fighters, which, yeah, wait, was it 38? I don't remember. I think it was probably actually less than that. But we had less than 38 female characters if we count alternate costumes like the female version of Corrin and Wendy in the Koopa Troop. So looking at that, oh wait, no, now I remember. There was only 13 female fighters. Literally only 13. And quite a few of those used either a weapon, like an arm cannon or a sword. I don't know. The whole thing was kind of getting weird. It was also part of the whole too many sword fighters trope. So let's look back on on Tifa that we all probably know here, and the one that we all kind of thought would be in Smash Bros. 4, considering that we all thought would be Smash Ultimate because, well, Cloud was made DLC in Smash 4. And yes, I know that we have a Tifa costume for the Mii fighter, but seriously, come on. Do we even count Mii fighters? I mean, personally, I do, but I don't count Mii costumes as actual character appearances. They don't count. If it's not the actual character, it doesn't count, okay? Anyways, ranting over. And when I look back at my Tifa moveset, I thought it was actually pretty good, to be honest, and I had to give credit where credit was due because I actually borrowed some palette ideas from another person. I don't remember. It's been years since I looked back on them, and I can't anymore. But looking at the Tifa moveset that I remember from my mind, I do remember giving her Final Heaven as her final smash, and it just made a lot of sense, honestly. And the rest of her specials were just all her limit breaks. Beat rush, your water kicks, your somersaults, your dolphin blows, I guess. And I really, really liked her moveset the way I made it. It was just one amazing moveset that I thought was really good, especially since we need more female brawlers. But the only female brawler that we got in Smash Ultimates was Min Min. If you want to count Min Min as a brawler character, just by her arms going, having range, unlike other brawler characters like Peach or Daisy, or I guess I think it's the only brawler characters we have: Peach, Daisy, and if you want to count Zelda, but I count Zelda as more of a magic user like Robin than an actual brawler. In fact, actually, I don't even think we have many female brawlers, just Peach and Daisy. Like, that's kind of weird. Like, unless you want to count Jigglypuff, because Jigglypuff is technically female in Smash Brothers, but I don't know. Not sure if I could count her because, well, Jigglypuff male and female look exactly the same in the series, because all right, well, that's another can of worms for another day. Back to Tifa. I was basically like, I liked Tifa as an idea for a fighter because, well, she wasn't really just the one character. It's not like she was like the one character that everyone wanted in Smash because she would be a good Final Fantasy rep. But nope, this was actually during a time where Square Enix was pretty stingy with their characters. So they only just let Cloud go in and only gave 2 songs in Smash 4. Seriously, 2 songs? Thankfully, then when Sephiroth was added, they rectified this mistake and gave us more Final Fantasy songs that we should have gotten in Smash 4. This is why Smash 4 was a horrible game, and I played the 3DS version. But okay, so if I think back to my Tifa moveset, I do actually like the way that I made it, and I don't think I would change it at all. Seeing the way that she was created, and I created as a character, and honestly, I don't really know what the comments were when I first made her moveset because it's been years. And I chose her because, well, we needed more female brawler characters, and that was basically it. I kind of thought that she would be a good selection for it, and yeah, I think that was it. I can promise you that that is literally the only reason. There's no other possible reason. Yes, I'm serious. There is no joke here, I promise. Anyways, moving on. Shantae. And looking back at my Shantae moveset also shows us another thing. Another thing when it comes about me. I honestly at that point I think I thought we didn't really need more brawler just more brawler characters. We just needed more female characters in general, and there were only a total of 13 during Smash 4. And yes, Shantae was another character that I made during the Smash 4 days. I can't believe we're actually calling them Smash 4 days. How long has it been since Smash 4, 3DS, and Wii U were released? Oh, Smash 4 was released in 2014. Quite literally 11 years ago. God, Smash 4 is already a decade old? Jesus. We're all getting old, aren't we? Okay, but back to my Shantae moveset that I was talking about. We all also kind of thought that Shantae would also appear in the next game in Smash 4 as a character. Now, there's actually a reason why I picked the first Shantae, Shovel Knight, and Tifa Lockhart as the first three characters for my series. It's because this was actually during the time when Smash 4 was starting to get DLC. So we all thought these four characters would make perfect DLC. It's like almost as if they were made for Smash Brothers. But nah, instead we decided to get anime sword fighter number 13 over here, Korin, and, Bayonetta, which, don't get me wrong, I'm okay with Bayonetta. It's just well, we all don't want to talk about the Bayonetta days of Smash 4 when she was first announced. And yeah, we all kind of had a feeling that it was going to happen at some point. But but at least the female fighter counter increased at some point, right? Right? Anyways, looking back at the Shantae moveset that I made, I thought I did a pretty good job. And I know I say looking back a lot. It's because I'm using my own memory for this. I can't physically go back into Amino and look at them because, well, obviously I just can't. I literally cannot. Amino is dead. And when I think about Shantae, I kind of do think that she'd be a pretty good magic user, somewhat similarly to Zelda in a way. But I think that her specials would be interesting. You have the Pike Ball for her down special. Her down smash could have been the Thundercloud. Her neutral special could have been the Fireballs, or even Flamethrower if you charged it enough or something. And I really thought it'd be an interesting character to have as DLC. But instead, in the later game, Smash 4, we got her as a costume and one music track from her series, Burning Town. And that's it. Like, come on, Sakurai, you know what we want. We literally vote all these characters that we want, and none of them make it in. Instead, they just make it as a character. As a costume for Mii fighters. I mean, I don't want to complain, but if we ever do get a Smash Bros. 6 at some point, please, for God's sake, listen to your fans. We know what characters should be in the game. And, okay, well, listen to the good fans. Some of the fans just want to request characters just to be funny, like Shrek or something. Or put in just a real-life person. I don't know. But I don't know. That's what the Mii fighters are for, isn't it? And looking at Shantae as a character, I do really like her, and especially since I've actually played Half Genie Hero quite a while back, and I actually even played Risky's Revenge a while back as well. At least I think that's what the 8-bit version it was, or no, not 8-bit, 16, 32-bit. I don't know. I can't remember classifications for games, but you get what I mean. I played 2 Shantae games in my whole life, and they were both Risky's Revenge and Half Genie Hero. And yes, I did get the DLC for Half Genie Hero as well, and it was really awesome. I didn't get Pirate Queen's Adventure though because, well, it would have offered a different playstyle. Why would I want to play the same game for a 7th time just as a different character with different moves. Like, why? Why would I want to do that? And I'm not gonna torture myself. But anyways, I picked Shantae because again, like Shovel Knight and Tifa, she was a popular pick for the next Smash Bros. Game, and honestly, I can honestly see why. She's actually a very unique character and has a lot of magic abilities that she could use, like again the aforementioned Fireball, Pike Ball, Thundercloud, etc. And she even could even use her transformations in her moveset, like turning into a monkey or a harpy or an elephant. And yes, I actually would have wanted one of her taunts to have her just become the blobfish, jump around a little bit, then turn back, because in the original in the game that it was introduced, the blobfish transformation was just a joke. It was just there to be funny, and that's about it. You can't really do anything as the blobfish. It's just funny. It's meant to be hilarious, and I can see why they did that. But yeah, I do think Shantae would have been a great addition. And hell, she's actually an addition in the Smash Bros. Crusade roster, a Smash Bros. Fan game that has quite a lot of characters and some unexpected picks like Ouija, a meme from 2009. Like, dude, I don't get me wrong, I like memes, and yes, honestly, in Smash Bros. Crusade, you probably see my video on it. I unironically main Ouija. He's just that good of a character for some reason. But when I played Shantae in that game, she actually felt like an extension of the Shantae series itself. And of course they even have the evil version of Shantae, which I call Negative Shantae. I don't I don't feel like saying her actual name, her evil clone's actual name, because it then feel like I'm saying something different. But yeah, I do like Shantae, and heck, and again, just like Shovel Knight, I actually made different palettes for what if she were a character in Smash Brothers. As you can see on screen, these are the Shantae palettes that I had come up with for a long while back. And honestly, I do kind of like some of the references that I was making here. For example, of course, we have her default, we have a Sky alt, a Ruddy Tops alt, a Bolo alt, a Risky alt, a negative Shantae alt, a alt that I think is a reference to a character from Half Genie Hero. I forgot what her name was though. What was it again? It was like, I don't know. It's something that started with like a B or something. I don't know. And of course, the last palette is a reference to Giga Mermaid, another boss in the game. And I thought these were really good palettes that I made, and especially for the roster that I have currently. And looking back on it, I really liked how he made that moveset. It was fun. It was really good. And yes, I know the risky alt and the negative Shantae alt look very similar. But what do you want me to do? They actually had pretty similar looks. The only difference being the earrings, the hair, the hair tie, the crown, the eyes, and the neck thing. Also the arm braces. The arm braces is also a difference. And yeah, I know it looks like the arm is detached from Shantae's body, I know, but that's just how I drew her. I honestly don't know why I did it like this. It's very awkward. But looking back on it, I do like the moveset that I made for Shantae, and I really wish that I could have done more. But I did as much as I could when it came down to making her moveset, and she just felt like a standard Smash character that I could have worked on at any point. And I really liked how he came out. So, moving on to the next character that I'm very excited to talk about. Crash Bandicoot. And here we have another character that was obviously looks like he was meant for Smash Brothers. I mean, seriously, his name rhymes with the series. Anyways, Crash Bandicoot was probably one of the bigger characters that I really wanted to have in Smash Brothers. Mostly because I was a PlayStation kid back then before I switched to being a Nintendo guy. And let's be real, Crash Bandicoot games were always my favorites. I always played Crash Bandicoot 2 Wrath of Cortex because oh wait, no, Crash Bandicoot 2 was Cortex Strikes Back. My bad. Anyways, I played a lot of Crash 2 and Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back, and Crash Bandicoot Wrath of Cortex, which, by the way, is my favorite of the games that he's had, aside from Mind of a Mutant, which isn't all that great, but I liked it anyways. Anywho, Crash Bandicoot was another one of those popular picks that everyone really wanted to be in Smash, because he had a lot of things to pull from for his Smash Bros. Moveset. And hell, even Smash Bros. Crusade devs did their best to make a Crash moveset. I mean, obviously, his neutral special would, of course, be the tornado, his tornado spin, and his iconic death tornado spin if he used in the air. His up special could have been a jetpack. His side special could be the one pop bazooka. His down air could have been his signature body slam. He had a slide for a down tilt, and he had the access to crawling as well, which not a lot of characters on this roster actually have. Let's and I'm gonna face real facts. I didn't really think much on extra movement options like wall jumping, crawling, or even just crawl, or even just wall jumping, or I guess wall clings. I don't know. Any, anyways, looking back at my Crash Bros. Looking back on my Smash Bros. Moveset for Crash, I think I did a pretty decent job at it because I can't really look at it right now. But I can imagine that I did a really good job because I was the biggest Crash Bandicoot fanboy at the time, and I really liked all of his games. And now that I look back on it, I was really happy with the moveset that I made for him because it honestly felt like an extension of Crash. And while I did make one of his moves that he'd throw a random crate, like a random crate, a question mark crate, or even a TNT or Nitro crate for some reason, I don't really know why I made him do that, especially since Nitro crates technically kill Crash as soon as he touches them, with the exception of that one staircase in Crash 2, but who cares? And and now that I think about it, I actually really liked all the references that I made when it came to his moveset. And yes, his victory dance was of course the ever iconic Crash dance. That that one dance that Kid Icarus did one time or twice against two different people. But let's be real here. Kid Icarus is the one guy that would actually watch if I want to hear anything about Crash Bandicoot, and I'm not too much of an expert on Crash lore at all. I mostly know his lore from just his games, especially the games that happened where nobody knew what to do with the orange rat here. And and I guess this is the moment where I should probably just show you the alts that I made for Crash. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm really proud of all these alts because they came out really good. I promise you, if I could find it here in my files, it's just oh here we go. Here we go. There it is. There's the alts. And sorry if they don't look all that great, but this is as good as I can draw Crash, okay? I know he looks like a hyena, but I promise you this is as good as I can draw a bandicoot, an anthropomorphic bandicoot. Anyways, you can obviously see some of the alts do need some explaining for references. So, of course, his first one is his default, then the second one is based off his sister, Coco, followed by the third one, which is based off Crunch, then one based off his arch enemy, Neo Cortex. The fifth one is, of course, Ripperoo. The green one, I honestly don't remember what the green one's supposed to be a reference to. Oh, wait, yeah, Nitrous Oxide, of course. It was the Nitrous Oxide alt. Followed by the next one, which I don't really remember. I don't remember what this one was supposed to be a reference to. It's supposed to have green hair, army gloves. Oh wait, Tiny. This is a reference. Wait, no, it's not a reference to Tiny Tiger. What am I thinking? Honestly, I don't know what it's a reference to, but of course the last one's a reference to Spyro the Dragon, which of course everyone knew was Crash's rival at the time. Since they were both PlayStation mascots, it only really made sense to actually make them as such. And making these costumes was really fun, even though I kind of drew his hands like really small. But honestly, at this point, I don't really care. I liked making these alts, and it was really fun to just draw him entirely from the ground up. And looking at it in my art style, I don't think I did that bad. It kind of makes sense, honestly. I mean, the most you can probably levy on is that, well, it kind of looks like a different kind of marsupial, like a wombat, I guess. But Jesus Christ, we don't need a wombat Crash. He was actually originally going to be called Wooly the Wombat before they canned the idea and decided to call him Crash Bandicoot instead. And honestly, I can see why. Being the biggest mascot for gaming alongside being a rival to both Mario and Sonic is really genuinely very fun, and I honestly kind of like the idea they were going for. Like how in some of those commercials they have some guy in a Crash costume just stand outside Nintendo headquarters like, I got your number, man. It was honestly kind of funny, and we all know it was really hilarious and hysterical, and even the Japanese Crash commercials were pretty good. But Crash has only gotten recent developments because of the new Crash Bandicoot 4. Just It's About Time came out a while back, and even the Insane trilogy and Crash Racing Nitro Fueled was also a fun time. I played all the games. Well, I haven't played the first. I played the first and third remakes. I haven't played the second game remake for some reason. I don't know why, but anyways, I played quite a lot of Crash Bandicoot games. Yes, even the ones that people think are bad, which I promise you they're actually pretty good on their own. If you consider them as their own continuity, which they probably are. Might of a Mutant, Crash of the Titans, those games. But look at the Orange Marsupial now. I'm very proud of the moveset that I made for him, and I'm very happy that he was a part of my moveset. That is until he gets in the next character, which you guys probably wouldn't take all that seriously. Jacksepticeye. Okay, so yeah, this pick was kind of a weird pick, to be honest. I don't know why I did this moveset when I was younger. I honestly don't know why. It was kind of a on the moment spot. I thought, hey, why not just make a joke character for one of these movesets? And so I did. So I went ahead and picked Jacksepticeye. And now I have an actual plausible reason to put him in the thumbnail because it'd be pretty funny. Okay, so for real though, I wanted to make a joke move set in my series, and I didn't really know how to do that. So so I just went with the funniest thing I could think of, and hey, why not make a move set for a real life person, going against all the things that I said before. So yeah, now we're here in this moment. Jacksepticeye is just in the roster now. Like you can see him, he's right there, right next to Crash Bandicoot, for no apparent reason other than my own. And now we're here. So yeah, top of the morning, all he is. But to be real, I kind of just made this moveset as a joke, and people were not really happy when I made this moveset. They were kind of expecting a video game character, and here I am giving them a real life YouTuber moveset. And I did actually stick it with a lot of references as well because, well, I'm actually a big Jacksepticeye fan, and I still am. Even to this day, I still like his content. And and yes, even on the content that he makes on his extra channel, which I think this is called Spadicy, I think. I'm not really all in on the joke, and I want to be in on the joke, but I'm not, which is weird. But I made Jack's moveset just the funniest shit ever because I always thought it was really funny. Because we have we have a reference to freaking Turbo Dismount for his side special, and a couple of fan game references here and there, I guess. But to be honest, I don't really know what I was doing with this moveset. I just wanted to make something funny, wacky, and hilarious. Kind of like how they did for other characters in Smash that were jokey, like Piranha Plant. I mean, technically, Piranha Plant is a serious character, but he's also kind of a joke because Mario was the first series put in Smash, I guess. So I guess this first DLC in Smash had to be a free Mario one, which honestly, I don't know why Piranha Plant was even chosen, but which is basically the same question you ask of why was Jacksepticeye chosen for this roster in particular. I mean, I didn't really make any really good ults for him. Like, I thought every ult for him could just be a different ego that he played, like Chase, Henrik. Hell, even Auntie was his own costume, and he could have that little glitch twitch that he would have it in other videos, in all the videos that he's made of him at least. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I can't really articulate myself. Even whether it's in or outside of a script, and I do most of these videos unscripted, so yeah, mostly because they are let's plays, and I genuinely don't know how to react. But making a Jacksepticeye playthrough, Jacksepticeye moveset, let alone a sort of character, I thought would be pretty funny. So I did that, and honestly, I didn't really make I didn't draw any palettes for him yet, but I will get there eventually. I just chose not to work on it because I had other characters that I wanted to work on. And yeah, looking back on the characters I worked on so far in this series, I'm actually very proud with how this roster came out. And yes, I can now look back at Jacksepticeye's moveset and say, yes, I did this as a complete joke. It wasn't meant to be serious. And yet some people took it a bit too seriously, but honestly, I was really happy with it. and having Jack as a character just would be very funny in and of itself. I mean, heck, he's a playable character in one of PewDiePie's games. I think it was Legend of the Brofist. I think that's what it was called, right? God, it's been years since I've heard that name. But yeah, I chose Jack specifically because I was a Jacksepticeye fanboy, and I still am as of recording this. And I also wanted to make a funny move set that make people laugh and have so many references. And yeah, that's just it. That's the reason why I had him as a character. I know it's not that strong of a reason, but it's funny, right? Arnett. Oh look, another non-video game character that I made a moveset for. And this time it's actually from a fictional universe this time, and not a real person. Sorry, Jack, I love you, but I don't know what I was thinking with that moveset. And honestly, I think this was my first ever serious moveset for a character that isn't even from a video game. Like, yeah, she's been in video games before, like mostly with crossover games, but and I guess a couple of Steven Universe Flash games that I guess existed, but that's it. That's all I could think of. Other than that, I just think she was a very unique character to do, and I really enjoyed making a moveset for her. And, and to be honest, most of the moveset ideas kind of just came from the show itself, and I was kind of really happy about that because I had a lot of reference material. I actually had ideas for some of her alts, and one of her alts I actually had the idea that she could be how she looked when Ruby and Sapphire first fused together. You know, that whole weird blue and pink sort of mess that they were before. And I really am that Garnet grew to be the character that she is now, considering the series that she's from. And yeah, I did get a lot of comments that complained that, oh, she's not a video game character. And that Smash Bros is for game characters only and all that BS. Like, I don't mean to alarm you, but I made these movesets for fun. This is just a for fun what if sort of scenario thing. Like, if Smash Bros actually locked in and added characters that are not from video games. And I thought Garnet would be a pretty good and interesting addition, especially since she would be another female brawler character, which we've been asking for a lot. But again, all we got was Min Min, and that's really it, honestly. Honestly, I don't know why I can't stop complaining about Min Min being one of the only new female brawler characters, even though technically she's not a brawler, she fights from a distance. It's confusing, okay? I haven't played Smash Bros in a long time. At least, well, Ultimate specifically. I haven't played it for weeks since I got Animal Crossing last year for Christmas, and this year for Christmas, Legend ZA. Yes, I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Legends ZA for a while, and I really want to give my thoughts on it, but I'm gonna save that for maybe next year. At least until I finish the game and complete the Pokedex and all that BS, you know? But back to Garnet, I thought Garnet was probably one of the really well thought out characters that I made for a moveset for. And no, she actually wasn't really a joke. I didn't really think she would actually get into Smash at all because, you know, cartoon character versus being from a video game. And she's not from a video game, so she wasn't allowed to be in Smash. But making a moveset for her was pretty fun. I actually got to think of quite a few innovative ideas, especially things that were one-time only things. Like that one time where she just stretched her arm out to grab Steven. I thought that could be her grab, where she stretches out, grabs the opponent, and pulls them in. So kind of like a tether, I guess. And I guess she would probably be the first brawler character to have a tether recovery, which is interesting. And no, I'm not counting Zero Suit Samus. She's not a brawler. Zero Suit Samus has a paralyzer pistol. She's a blaster archetype, not a brawler archetype. But to be completely fair to Zero Suit Samus, at least she comes from a game series and actually does have some reference materials that you can pull from. Garnet here does have a lot of reference material you can pull from, but again, she's not from a game. Now let's get into the whole unique thing. Why did I choose Garnet over all the crystal gems? Like, I could have chosen Amethyst, I could have chosen Pearl, heck, I could have chosen Steven Universe, the character that the show was named after. But That I ran, but if I did, I would run into a problem. Steven is a pacifist. He doesn't like fighting at all, and he wants to solve problems in his own way, and doesn't really want to hurt anybody. Last I checked, and making this sort of moveset for Garnet just made more sense. She was the leader of the Crystal Gems that wasn't Steven, and is probably the only of the gems that is actually a fusion by default. I mean, sure, we didn't know she was a fusion back then, but nowadays she's more proud of who she is, and she actually becomes a much more solid and very interesting character. And the topics that Steven Universe discusses is very interesting in my opinion. Yes, I watched the entire show from start to finish. Fight me. I actually like Steven Universe. It's a really good show. anyways, looking back into the moves that I made for Garnet, I think I could have done a little bit better with sticking a few niche reference materials here and there. Like seriously, I made one of her taunts that one moment where she punches one of those black greens centipede looking things, gem creatures. It was just for one scene, and I thought it would be a very funny taunt. Like, it's just sneaking behind her and she just punches it regardless, and it just disappears. I just thought it'd be very funny as a taunt. I don't know why, but the rest of her moveset, I don't know. When I think back to it, I think I kind of made it a little boring. Like, yeah, it's typical things. Some of the things that Garnet can do, but one of the things that I found out that she could do was launch her fists like rockets, which is why I made for her neutral special, which I thought would be very funny for her to have a projectile. To which, yes, I looked it up. She can indeed launch her fists as rockets, which is very funny. And honestly, when I look at the moveset itself, if I could at the very least, I think I probably would have done something different. Maybe do a few references here and there, add a few better attacks, maybe give some better frame data. I don't know. I like Garnet as a whole as a character, but I think I could have done a way better job with her moveset. Natsu. Well, look, another character that is not from a video game, but instead an animated show. But this time it's actually an anime, not a cartoon. So why did I choose not to drag Neil from my roster? And honestly, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. This is probably my weirdest pick for a character I've ever done. But at the same time, it kind of made sense as well. I mean, yeah, I watched Fairy Tail from start to as far as I can get through it. And I don't think I've seen season 6. I don't think I've seen all the seasons yet, but I watched as much as I could, and I've gotten a lot of reference material from the show. So most of his moveset was references from the show. Heck, his final smash was going into Fire, Lightning, Dragon, King mode, or whatever he calls it. It's friggin' long ass name. Like, they could just call it Fire, Lightning, Dragon mode. Or just FLD mode or something like that. That would have been a lot easier and less of a mouthful. But looking back at the moveset that I made for Natsu, I don't think I would really change a thing. I mean, he's kind of just a taller, stronger version of Little Mac, but not as fast or anything, I guess. Because let's face it, I don't really think he would be that fast, but he is pretty fast in the show, so maybe he could be as fast as Little Mac. I don't know. And when I think about it, I kind of do think he would make sense for like an anime Smash Brothers, like Shonen Jump, I guess. I don't even know if he's in Shonen Jump. I could be wrong, but I do know for a fact that he would be a very chaotic character, in the sense that he would have a sort of fire breath neutral special, his fire king's like fire dragon demolition fist for a side special. God, that's such a mouthful of a name. But why do so many anime characters have mouthful names for moves? And yeah, currently I am actually wearing a Naruto sweater, a Naruto shirt, which honestly doesn't help my case, but you get the gist, right? Essentially, I picked Natsu because I thought he'd be a fun character, and I was kind of going on this whole tirade of just picking characters that are just not from a video game that would be very fun if they were in a video game. And looking back at my Natsu moveset, I was very proud of it, to be fair. And yes, he is another character that I actually did bother on making alternate palettes for. And I think the palettes came out pretty good. I only drew his head and neck and the top part of his scarf, but you guys can get the idea, right? Looking at the alts I made, I think I made quite a few good references here. I'm not going to say what the references are, but if any of you out there in the comments can guess what the references are, then good job, you earned a gold star. Because the only ones I remember making are the I remember actually knowing are the first five, and the other three I don't really remember, except for maybe the second to last one, but that's about it. And of course, when I made the moveset, I of course got a few more comments saying that, again, he is not from a video game, but there are kind of a few more comments that did actually enjoy the concept of him as a character in Smash. And honestly, I really liked it too. I thought him being a character in Smash Bros. Would actually kind of fit. That is, if we ever get an anime version of Smash Brothers, to which I'm very, very hopeful for, because I really like Fairy Tail. It's a pretty good series in and of itself. And also, and no, I am not gonna add a reference of him. I did not add a reference of him getting motion sickness because honestly, I don't really understand how he gets around. Like, yeah, Happy flies him everywhere, but how does he not get motion sick from that? Why is it only trains? Why is it only trolleys, boats, and other sort of aircrafts? But he's just fine being flown around by a cat with wings. Anime makes no sense, but I made his moveset regardless, and I actually really liked it. His special actually had Happy make a cameo to fly upwards, and the rest of his moveset is just him using physical or even maybe even fire breath, maybe even distance fire attacks, which yeah makes sense. And honestly, his final smash was more of a transformation final smash than a cutscene one. So, and since Smash Ultimate ditched the transformations and moved on all the final smashes into cutscenes, which makes a lot more sense. Let's think about that. I don't know. I kind of like the way it came out as a character, and I honestly would change a few things about his moveset. But anyways, going from Dragon Slayer to Shubble Dragon. Spyro, the dragon himself. Finally, I get to actually talk about this guy. Ugh, jeez. Honestly, looking back at the first row, I honestly don't really know what I was doing. I mean, seriously, look at this first row. You tell me I had any thoughts while making it. Well, aside from the three characters that we'll get to later, and the ones that we covered now, Spyro is probably one of the more interesting additions that I had to the roster, because, boy oh boy, look at that, another PlayStation character that looks like he would fit very well in the world of Super Smash Brothers. But nope, Nintendo and Sakurai basically just said no. So we have to wait basically another few generations before we actually get a good Smash Brothers that has Spyro as a playable character. Honestly, I can kind of see how he would probably fit in Smash as well, especially since he's a PlayStation mascot just like Crash, so there's a big whoop there, and I think he would actually fit very well in Smash. In fact, the moveset that I made for him kind of mostly focused on his appearance in The Legend of Spyro: A New Beginning and Dawn of the Dragon. At least, I'm pretty sure I did. I did take a couple of things from Skylanders and the original trilogy as well as the Reignited trilogy, as far as I can tell. But this was actually made before the moveset was made before the Reignited trilogy was a thing. So, yeah, right. I just stuck to the Legend of Spyro because that one was the best looking and it had a more modern version of Spyro that we all know. And no, the one that isn't Skylanders. Trust me, I've tried Skylanders Spyro. Why can he not fly over a small gap? Are you kidding me? He's a dragon. He has wings. He can fly. Why can't I fly over a gap? But my personal gripes aside, I do think Spyro would be a very unique character when it comes to Smash Bros. Since he would actually be yet another quadruped character, and quadruped characters in Smash are rare. Like, the only quadrupeds that we have are Duck Hunt Dog and Ivysaur, and that's it. That is the only quadrupeds that we have in Smash, as far as I'm aware. I don't know. I could be wrong. There could be other quadrupeds in the game that I just don't remember, but but Ivysaur and Duck Hunt Dog are the only quadrupeds in the game, and Spyro would make a very unique addition as a quadruped as well. And of course, I would incorporate his fighting style within his moveset, like of course his claw slashes, tail swipes, and his ever so iconic fire breath. But you know, since this is the Legend of Spyro variant that I was doing, not the new one. And when I was thinking of this moveset, I actually really thought it was a good idea to just take apart each piece of Legend of Spyro and just make it into a character. And so I did. Of course, I made his basic jab, his horn ram attack that he hits you with, and his dash attack be his actual horn ram from his original games. But I actually also added a neat quirk in that Spyro is the first character I covered that could actually do air combos. And no, I don't mean like Bayonetta, because that would be a bit too stupid. Like, can you just imagine Spyro trying to use a gun? I don't think that would work. So instead, he's going to have to settle on using his claws and tail and wings, which is what he actually does in his games. And I actually think he's probably one of the more complex characters that I made, because I made it so that his jab would, if you held the button, would actually do the horn attack, but it would send the opponent upwards, and then he would follow it up immediately with a jump. Then you can follow it up immediately with a jump, and then press the attack certain button, like the attack button, or I guess certain button combinations of three in groups of three that would actually do a 3-hit combo in the air. So you can hit them from the ground into the air, jump, and then hit them 3 times more to scale up some more damage. and it's only the last hit of the combo that would send them flying. So the first and second hits would not send them anywhere. Basically, they're more like stunning hits in a sense, and kind of like that one. It's kind of like the basic combo. It actually is the basic combo in the Legend of Spyro games, because even though the Legend of Spyro is technically a duology, which is just the Legend of Spyro: The New Beginning and Dawn of the Dragon, it's literally just 2 games. I kind of really like the moveset, and I think it would make a lot of sense. His special could of course be his ever iconic fire breath. His up special could be gliding for all that's known, and he can also have a little aesthetic thing where Sparks follows alongside him. And yes, it would be the Legend of Spyro Sparks voiced by David Spade, because I think that would make a lot more sense. And yes, I like that version of Sparks more than the classic version, because all the classic version there was buzz and I guess make dragonfly noises. I don't know. But I guess another aesthetic thing I probably could have done was make it so that Sparks was a barometer for Spyro's health. So if you didn't feel like looking down at the bottom of the screen for the percentage, you could just look at Sparks. And if he's yellow, Spyro is healthy. If he's blue, that means Spyro is like 50 to 70%. And if he's green, then that means that Spyro is at like 90 to 100%. And Sparks is just completely gone, then that means Spyro is like obvious kill percents. But I also treated Spyro as a bit of a light character with 2 jumps, and if you held the second jump, he could glide forward for a bit. But that's it. and I also gave him his sort of like his dodge roll would just be this little hover and like I don't know if it was like a dash or like just a sidestep. I don't know. But it was like some sort of sidestep that he would have for like a dodge roll. And in the case of his other specials, his side special could just be a mega horn ram, which by the way is the only thing that I took from Skylanders. I promise is the only thing that I took from him. I don't really like Skylanders Spyro in the slightest. He looks like a pug that got stung by 1,000 wasps. But looking at the older design for Spyro, I do kind of like how they were going with some sort of angsty and punked up sort of teenage voice for him. But the more modern interpretation by Elijah Wood, I believe that was his voice during The Legend of Spyro, was actually a bit more fitting, to be honest. I kind of liked the direction they were going with it, and it worked for Spyro in and of itself, especially with him as a character. And of course his down special. Now, the thing is, I didn't really know what to do with his down special. But when I looked back at it, I actually remembered, because I actually played The Legend of Spyro: New Beginning. He has other elemental breaths, and so I made his down special switch whatever breath he was using for his neutral special. Yeah, it's kind of like a Pokemon trainer situation where you switch things up, but it also switched up the coloration of his attacks. So his down special, of course, incorporated all four of his breaths: fire, electricity, ice, and earth. And honestly, I really liked how it came out. The earth element is my favorite, by the way, because it's green, and you guys know green is my favorite color. It's not like my whole background here is green. The jokes write themselves, kids. Anyways, so having Spyro as a character just would work in Smash because it looks like he was made for Smash Brothers, obviously. But nope, he's just relegated to just not being a part of the Smash series because why? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Sony and whoever owns Crash and Spyro at this point are just being stingy with them. But but come on, we can actually make him work in Smash Brothers. If we ever do get a Smash Bros. 6, which or technically Smash Bros. 7 because we have 64, then Melee, then Brawl, then Smash 4 for 3DS and Wii U, which is two versions, but which is basically the same game, but it's two separate versions, so I count them as separate. And then Smash Ultimate is the sixth one. So, but if we ever get a new Smash Bros. Game, Spyro and Crash are must-haves. They have to be in the roster, not as DLC, but as just part of the base roster because they feel like base roster characters in my opinion. Kind of like how Banjo Kazooie is included in Smash Ultimate's roster as a DLC character, but he feels a lot like a base roster character, like he should have been there from the get go. And looking at Spyro, it's just a no-brainer. Why was he not included? Like, honestly, they could have even included him in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Yes, I know about that game, and yes, I also agree that it sucks. I just don't know why PlayStation All-Stars didn't have Crash or Spyro in it when they were clearly PlayStation characters. They were right there, you guys. But ranting aside, I made the move for Spyro, and I also really like the aesthetic changes that I gave him, so that whenever he switches his breath, he would also switch the colors that his attacks would be. So standardly, he would have orange reddish attacks, where if he switches to lightning, he would have yellow, ice is blue, and then earth shout would be green. Spyro's final smash was obviously going to be his elemental blast, but I got to thinking, which elemental blast? Then I thought immediately about the answer being, of course, all of his elemental blasts would be his final smash. And yeah, I know it's kind of a wasted opportunity. I could have made his final smash the Aether blast that he uses at the end of the game. And yes, for all of you guys who should probably know, Convexity is the location that Spyro goes to during the end of the game. The actual breath that he learns when he faces Cinder for the final time is called Ether, not Convexity. Trust me, I thought it was Convexity when I was a kid too, but nope, it's called Ether. I honestly should have thought that in the beginning, but obviously I was kind of a dumb kid, so I thought it was called the Convexity breath because the place was called Convexity, and that's where you learn the breath. But then again, you learn the Earth breath at a volcano, so I don't really think it really works either way. It doesn't really make sense. I mean, seriously, you learn the fire breath in a grassy, earthly area. You learn the lightning breath in an ice area. You learn the ice breath in an earth area, and then you learn the earth breath in a fire area. It just, what were they trying to say? Were they trying to say that ice beats lightning or something? I mean, sure, ice doesn't really conduct electricity, but okay, I'm getting a little off track here. The main point is that Spyro would have been a unique and excellent addition to the Smash Bros. Roster if they actually went in and added him. And I think he and Sparks probably would have been really happy to be included in the Smash Bros. Roster as well. And and yes, I would have also probably made his down air his ground pound attack, his up air would have been some sort of innovated attack. I don't know. I really liked having the idea of having Spyro in there, but nope. Crash and Spyro are just relegated to just not being invited to Smash Brothers, and we all gonna have to just deal with that, aren't we? Okay, so I gotta say first of all, full credit to what was their name again? Hold on, let me see if I can find it in this list here. Full full credit to, let's see. Oh yeah, full credit to Obtung for this awesome illustration of Frisk because they actually used it for their mod for Special Crusade. Yes, this is the coolest one that I can think of, and honestly, I am gonna be making alts and palettes for Frisk myself. Any, but I'll do that later. Anyways, so I know I probably should have come to this video a bit more prepared, but seeing that Frisk was probably one of the other characters that I have in the first row of my entire roster, honestly, I don't really know what I could have done for an Undertale rep aside from Frisk. So, and Frisk would be sort of a multi-tiered, gimmicky kind of character, a character that I don't think anyone would expect, especially since they're a pacifist. And honestly, I really like Frisk as an idea for a Smash Bros. Character because, well, you can basically do whatever you want with them. They can be neutral or pacifist or, of course, genocide, but we'll get to that later. So the one thing that I wanted to say is that I thought it would be a cool idea to have an Undertale rep in Smash. And no, I am not counting the Sans costume that we got for the Me Gunner. That doesn't count if they are a costume. It needs to be an actual original fighter. But those thoughts out of the way, I did this moveset for Frisk kind of without thinking, to be honest. I mean, yeah, I had recently played Undertale at that point, and I played the game the entire way, which means I did all three routes, neutral, pacifist, and genocide, before restarting the entire game and just doing the pacifist route and leaving it at that. So when I did Frisk's moveset, I kind of had to consider a lot of things. Mainly that Frisk is, well, aside from being a small child, that they're going to be a more multi-tier character. And I think this was actually the first time I ever did an actual gimmick with a character. Because most characters that you probably see me do, or, well, not really do, but like, most characters you see me make a moveset for had no gimmick whatsoever, except for maybe Spyro, but which he can switch between his breaths at any time, but that's less of a gimmick and more of a core mechanic of who he is. Frisk I actually had this idea where Frisk would have some sort of morality meter on the bottom of the screen near his damage percent, or their damage percent. Sorry, I keep forgetting Frisk doesn't really have a confirmed gender, so we don't know if they're a boy or a girl. All we know is that they're filled with determination, and that's it. That is quite literally all we have about them. And we don't really know where Frisk came from either, so it's kind of assumes that they're that they are an orphan or some sort. Or I guess they wanted to run away from their village. I don't know. There's multiple interpretations of Frisk. Basically, which basically all those multiple interpretations are technically canon, even though they're fanon. Like Underfell like the Underfell version of Frisk is the same but different from the regular Frisk that we all know. And yeah, I can go on and on about Undertale lore because I know a lot about it, especially thanks to game theory. And looking back at the moveset that I made for Frisk, it was probably the most complicated moveset I have ever made. Like honestly, I don't know what I was doing. And just so you know, I wanted to make this clear because back then when I made this entire roster, I made it so that whenever I did a character, I would not be picking a character that certain somebody else had already done. So I made that rule after I got to somewhere halfway along the third row. But that rule didn't really exist back then, and honestly, I didn't even know that Brawl Fan 01 was a channel at the time. So I sort of made a Frisk moveset that just incorporated a ton of references and a lot of goofs and gaffs and funny things in the taunt. And I sort of did this sort of like multi-tiered character thing where you have pacifist Frisk who would have help from all. And honestly, I think the up special was the only thing that I didn't change at all. And I think it may have made it linked to the down special so that when you use down special, you would make a save point, and your up special would teleport you to the save point. And yes, that's exactly how I made up special back then. if I had to make Frisk's moveset now, I don't know. I think it'd probably be the same way that Brawl Final 1 did it. He did an excellent job on making Frisk's moveset in that series, and I honestly want to see more that he can do. Yeah, he actually did do quite a lot of Undertale characters on his list. And honestly, it was really funny to see the Metaton one being number 49 when they clearly wanted it to be number 50, but they couldn't, so number 50 went to SpongeBob. But I digress. Making a moveset for Frisk was very complicated, and I had to make 3 different variants of their moveset so that it would all tie in to just one character. And of course, their final smash, I kind of got the idea that would be similar to Super Smash Bros. LOL, which by the way is the parody, which is spelled like brawl but with an L instead of a BR. I can go all day about this, but now that I think about it, I think this whole roster explanation series is going to take a long time to do. So the final video for 2025 is probably just going to be a first episode of the series, which I'm probably going to have to script later on. But I always do first impressions unscripted, so who cares? Anyways, about getting back to Frisk, I think their palette swaps would be really interesting, to be honest. because their color palettes are probably going to be most interesting about them, aside from their complicated moveset that I can't even tell you. I can't even remember what it was. But looking back on it, I really think I should have done a little bit better with it, and I could have added a couple more references here and there while also fixing a couple of things at that point in time. But I was the biggest Undertale geek at the time during making this moveset, and honestly, I wouldn't change it for the better. I wouldn't change it for anything because I really liked how it came out. It was one of my first draft movesets with a complicated character. And some people actually kind of liked it because it was just Undertale. It was Undertale, and everybody loved Undertale at the time. Seriously, everybody and their grandmother loved Undertale. It was just, it was that good of a game. Toby Fox, you make some truly wonderful content. I promise you, you do. And seeing Undertale hit the big screen, especially going onto the Switch, it was a really big move. And honestly, all versions of Undertale are just interesting. Like the Kickstarter version had this one room that nobody could access, and then the Nintendo Switch version had this room that you couldn't really access until the end of your journey, which you had to go back there. You had to actually choose to go back there, and then and then figure out how to open the door, which, by the way, you just have to point the analog sticks of the Switch Joy-Con controllers in the opposite direction. The opposite direction of each other, and I thought that was an interesting little bit that they did there. And personally, I'm not really an expert on Undertale. Honestly, if I could, I would invite Wombu onto the channel just so we can talk about what a Frisk moveset would be like, at least in his idea for it. And I think all of us would have actually agreed that Frisk would have 3 different movesets depending on what variant they are. And and sure, you could keep everything neutral. You could be a genocidal maniac, or you could be a pacifist and just not hurt anybody at all. Like, I don't want to hurt you. Like just be nice. but yeah, Frisk is essentially just a very nice kid, and I think they really would be interesting if they were included in Smash Brothers, and not all of us having to just make Mii fighters based off of Frisk. But you know what? It's a start at the very least, and I really hope. And we did get a Sans costume from Mii Gunner, so I really hope that we get more of this stuff in the future. Batman. So, yet another character that isn't initially from a video game, but has video games that he has starred in. And yeah, I know, Batman is a comic book character and not a video game character. I know. This kind of does break the recent rules I made on my list, but again, the rules didn't exist at the time. So at the time, the first row was basically just a free-for-all, in a sense, at least when it comes to the first 3 rows. Getting the obvious out of the way, Batman would actually have been a pretty interesting character in Smash. And thinking about it, I think he would work, especially for a close quarters combat character with a tether, a projectile, and just a standard Smash Bros. Fare. He of course would have his batarangs, his grapple gun, and his smoke bombs, and I guess even explosive gel that he could put on the ground and blow up at any time, kind of like Solid Snake, which I guess kind of turns him into a Snake sort of character. I think now that I think about it, he and Solid Snake do share some sort of similarities, like both use explosives, both do stealthy takedowns, all the fun in the fair. And when I look back on Bruce Wayne's moveset, or sorry, Batman's moveset, it just sort of makes sense. I can kind of see a lot of different variations for for his costumes as well. Like mainly, of course, one of them being his old school classic cartoon with Batman and Robin, but but I think most of the costumes would just be references to other variations of Batman. Like we of course have the Arkham Knight series variant. We have the classic Blue Mask variant. The one that actually spent time with the TMNT, and a couple of other weird crossover characters like, I don't know, Ruby. I forgot the DC crossover with Ruby at one point. It was kind of a weird crossover, I'm not gonna lie, but it worked somehow. And making Batman into a Smash Bros. Character would actually kind of work. He would have pretty good recovery. He'd have access to a bit of gliding, or I guess semi-hovering. If you wanna call it. I don't know. Like, he kind of hovers, but doesn't really. He kind of just lets gravity do the work for him. And he can have really interesting and strong attacks coming from his smash attacks to his aerials to his grounded attacks. And heck, I think his grabs would probably be his strongest things. The grabs and throws would be his strongest sorts of options for approaching the opponent. Mostly because he's kind of used to all sorts of martial arts situations. So he would obviously be very, very well adept in these sorts of scenarios. Though, honestly, I don't think we're going to get a DC version of Smash Bros. Anytime soon. Like, the closest we got to a Smash Bros. Batman was Multiverses, but that was about it. He didn't really make any other crossover game appearances like that. And it kind of makes me sad. I really wish that we could see more of Batman's moveset like that. And the newest closest fighting game that we have him in is what was it called again? Oh yeah, Injustice. And it certainly is an injustice that he isn't in more Smash Bros. Like games like Multiverses. But to be honest, Multiverses kind of shut down, and it kind of sort of ruined platform fighters in a genre, especially when it came to Iron Giant. Like, my god, Iron Giant was way too big, way too powerful, and could take up the entire stage. What were they thinking with the guy? This is why Smash Bros. Actually resizes their characters so they can actually fight each other in a technical sense. Even though, canonically Kirby, like Kirby, for example, is like 8 inches tall, and Olimar is the size of a freaking ant. You could just step on Olimar and he dies. But getting back to Batman here, I honestly kind of thought it would be a fun. It was actually a fun kind of moveset to make, especially since I actually made a poll about it before I made the next moveset, and most people actually voted for Batman, so I went ahead and made a moveset for him. Although, side note, I kind of called his Batmobile a Bat car for some reason when I was younger. I don't know why I did that. I literally don't know why I did something like that. It was so stupid. I should have just written Batmobile, but I didn't. But yeah, Batman was kind of an interesting task to take up, especially with all the alternate costumes he could have possibly had, from the Brave and the Bold to Batman Beyond. Like, I can imagine quite a lot of variants for his costumes. But, he's never going to be in Smash Bros. Because he's not a video game character. He's a comic book character. But I do like what I was going for when making his moveset at the very least. Tails! And look, we finally made it to the last character in the row, Miles Tails Prower. And to be honest, he was kind of a personal pick for me when it came to making Smash Bros. Movesets because, well, I look back at the Smash Bros. Roster and kind of find out that Sonic is the only representative of his own series. And no, that is if you're not counting assist trophies like Shadow and Knuckles, to which I don't. So Sonic is the lone representative of his series. And honestly, I don't know why that is. Like, Mario has Luigi, Donkey Kong has Diddy Kong, Fox has Falco. Why doesn't Sonic get Tails as a second character in Smash? Clearly, it makes the most sense to have Sonic's sidekick to be in Smash as a second representative for Ultimate, but no, instead we had to get the Tails and Knuckles outfits in Smash 4 and a Tails outfit in Smash Ultimate. Why couldn't we just get him as a character, guys? Seriously, Sega, I love you guys for your games, and especially even though you haven't made a new Knights game in years, but why can't Tails be in Smash Brothers? He would make an excellent fighter. Like, seriously, we have so many places to choose from. Like, even Sonic Battle. I would go as far as to Sonic Battle to make a moveset for this guy. Though, honestly, when it came to making this moveset back then, I was actually pretty lazy. I just said that his moveset should be the same moveset that he has in Smash Bros. 2. And no, I am not talking about his new moveset that he has, which is complete garbage, by the way. Like, what the hell is this? Like, did they really expect me to think that this was a good idea for a side special? I mean, yes, if you do land, you can carry them and throw them and stuff like that, but this is not my Tails. What the hell is this up special? I mean, sure, his up special is better nowadays, and you can just do this, but back then, Tails' up special was just this weird robot poppy toss, and I don't understand why that is. The version of Tails' up special I wanted was the Tails Cyclone that he had in version 0.9.5. But no, instead we had to get a crappy up special that is just him throwing a robot clone of himself, which, yes, I know, is a reference to Tails' adventure on old school systems. But seriously, and then we got an update to his recovery, and it looks like this, where you have to mash the button to go higher. Why would I want him like this? Like, yeah, it's a reference to his game. It makes sense. So you have to mash the button if you want to keep going. But like, I think his Tails up special was a lot better. And let's be real here. I think Tails' up special should be the tornado spin that he has in Sonic Battle. It just makes sense. Instead of giving him just a few extra jumps and that's it. Like, come on, McLeod, it's not that hard. So, I mean, aside from that, I think of course his down special should be the spin dash since he did invent it. His neutral special could just be that arm cannon that he uses, and the side special should actually be his tail swipe attack from Sonic Adventure, from Sonic Battle. And yeah, I know, I said Sonic Adventure, my bad. I mean, hell, I would even pull from the Archie comics just to make a funny moveset for Tails. But, nah, the Archie comics aren't canon. So, instead, I would actually take inspiration from Sonic Adventure 2, but thinking about that, putting him in the mech version of the plane that he flies just wouldn't really do him justice in any sense. So, having him as just a character outside of a mech, with the arm cannon special, tail swipe, and just having one of the coolest spikes in the game where he just hits you downwards with his tails, because it's not like it's part of his name or anything. But seeing as Sakurai seems like he won't ever give Sonic his sidekick in Smash, that just saddens me. I want to see Tails in Smash Brothers. He makes the most sense out of any Sonic character to be put in Smash that is not Shadow or Knuckles. And yes, I know Shadow and Knuckles are put in there as assist trophies, but I'm not counting assist trophies. And the way I made Tails' moveset was actually pretty interesting. And going back on the moveset, I think I probably could have done a lot better in doing more research for it instead of just being lazy and just saying it'd be the same as in Smash Bros. 2. And looking back at it, once more, I could have done a lot better. And And if I were to make Tails' moveset now, I think I would have done a lot more research and I would have a lot more knowledge to actually utilize to make a good moveset for this kind little fox boy. He deserves everything in the world, and I think he deserves to get everything he wants. He should be in Smash with Sonic. He is the literal player 2. Tails is literally the Luigi to Sonic's Mario. We have Mario and Luigi, Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong, Fox and Falco. What? Cloud and Sephiroth? Does Sephiroth even count as one? I don't know. He's the main villain, so who cares? All I ask Sakurai is that you put my baby boy Tails in Smash in the next installment, if we were to get a next installment, because which again I highly doubt that we'll ever get. Ultimate is basically the send-off to the series, and it makes a lot more sense that way. It's called Ultimate. We're not doing a Smash Bros. Reboot. So yeah, I'm upset that Tails didn't get put into Smash, but at the very least we tried, okay, people? We at least tried to vote him in. Okay, and that was all the characters in the first row. God, actually, now that I think about it, I think this series is gonna be a very, very, very long one in the long run. And having to make scripts for this series day after day is gonna be a lot. But I will find a way to do it somehow, and I will indeed get to the more important characters at some point. But for now, I think that will be a good time to end this video. This video is probably already like, what, 50 minutes long, and I don't really have a good outro for it. So that's consider the first row of characters here done. So next time we're going to be talking about the next row of characters in the next video that I make of this, whenever I actually decide to do that. But for now, Happy New Year's Eve, everybody. I'll see you all in 2026, and please be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss a single notification. I'll see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!